It's been a while since we did a coffee chat. It's 1 week post Hurricane Milton. It is our first day back to work. Our kids are back to school, daycare. So it's our first time back together in a while. So it's good to be with you guys.
Yeah, it is. It is good to be back.
So now that the storm has passed, we learned a lot of lessons. We've gone through a lot, not just us, but our clients, friends, family, the whole community. So we just wanted to kind of touch on that. Even though this video might not be relevant in 6 months, we just felt like we really wanted to tie it up and just talk about it a little bit and just some advice and tips that we kind of learned along the way.
Right. We are 1 week back, I think, to kind of echo what Kate was saying, back in the office, but not necessarily back to work, as we have been in touch with our clients post Milton and even post Helene, which we did not expect to have a situation. So we have talked to several different clients who are on a range of, the spectrum, people who have just lost a screen panel to, clients of ours and friends who have lost their entire homes. And we're helping them navigate those kind of uncharted waters. And it's heartbreaking. So I think that, this video is kind of us, like Kate said, closing the loop on where we left everybody. And again, this timeline will be irrelevant in months to come, but the last video we posted was getting ready for Hurricane Helene and tips on that. And, we'll kind of follow up on where we landed with those tips, but also just, driving into work today. Our office is out on Longboat, and the destruction firsthand is so heartbreaking. I mean, there are boats. I know people can see this on the news, but there are boats washed ashore, literally right next door to our office.
Just sitting there, yeah.
Just sitting there. I mean, homes that are just being pulled apart, furniture all along the streets, debris everywhere. And the county is doing its best to clean it up, but just like firsthand, it really feels like a war zone. So that's not what we're going to sit here and talk about the whole video, but it's
the reality.
It's the reality, and that's why we're putting this video together, because we didn't want to just seem like we are unaffected and glazing over it and getting back into work, because that's not necessarily the reality of what's happening here. We are trying to put on a good face and continue working for our clients, but this video is just kind of showing the truth behind it all.
Yeah, for sure. Go ahead.
So I think the most important thing right after the storm, people, all they want to do is get back to their home if they get evacuated, and sometimes that's not the safest to like rush back into, especially on the barrier islands. We saw that a lot. There's down power lines. There's a lot of, like you said, debris everywhere. So I think the most important thing for people to realize afterwards is to be safe about how they're approaching their home and when they're approaching it, and then once they get there. Hopefully on the front end, they took proper documentation of everything in their home, and just, starting there with documenting all of the damage and calling their insurance company, to talk next steps about what their home's going to entail and getting it back to where they need it to be.
Yeah, right. And in our last video, we were talking about hurricane preparedness. And now that we've lived through it, there are some things we're like, oh, we should have talked about this, or we should have mentioned that. So, one thing that Fondren said about the breaker box, bringing that off, we all lost power. I mean, the whole region lost power.
Right. But when it comes back on, it can surge your home.
Right.
So, and it did to many, and we lost our AC. And I don't say that like other people didn't lose their home, but just as far as kind of tying closing the loop on some of those tips that we had provided. And if somebody is watching this wondering, what to do when the next storm comes, like Kelly said, and we should have highlighted that as well, documenting everything and making sure you take those important documents with you.
Right.
Deed to your home, things like that. But documenting as far as the videos, because when you come back in later for the insurance company, just showing them, hey, our home personally has shutters. We put the shutters up. So if there was any destruction that had happened, we can show the insurance company that we had checked and done all the right things to prepare as much as possible.
Yeah.
But
another item that we both were like, oh, we should have mentioned that, was taking the doors off of your lanai, like your pool cage, so that if wind gets in there, it doesn't pull the doors off.
Right. Yeah, we do that every time, but I didn't think to say that in the last videos. So that's an important one. We did lose panels, but I believe that in taking those doors off, we were able to keep our cage, because during Hurricane Ian, our cage started to literally lift off from our home, and it started to bend, and we went out there and had to physically slash the screens to keep the cage from flying away and causing more damage to our neighbors and our home. So this time we took off the doors, and I do believe that allowed the wind to escape the way it should.
Yeah. And as far as roofs, like this, I mean, I lived here for Ian as well, and wasn't nearly as rough, I feel like, for me at least. But like shingles, you might not necessarily be able to see it, so it's important to have like a roofer come and actually climb on your roof and look at it, because originally, some of my neighbors said, "Oh, we look fine," and then they happened to have a friend who had a drone, and he came and he was like, "Oh man, you need to have somebody out here." So it's important, if you don't have access to a drone, of course, which a lot of people don't, to have someone come and just look at it, give you an estimate, and get multiple estimates. I think that's another
thing we've been
point
talking about.
We should really hone in on, because unfortunately people can get taken advantage of in a time like this. So it's important, and everyone's vulnerable and emotional. So it's important to try to keep your head on straight and get multiple quotes so that you don't get taken advantage of. Unfortunately, that does happen.
It does. And I know Kelly, was bringing up a story earlier about, somebody close to her that had been given a quote that was extremely high, and they felt like that was the only option they had, and she was able to call around. And so I think that's a really important kind of note for people who are in this position to, talk to as many people as possible. We are here for our clients, but really for anybody, a friend, a stranger calling and asking for advice. I mean, I've been giving out different names of people who I've used and trusted in the past to literally anybody who needs it. And,
I think, and Kelly's a testament to this as well. You can lean on your realtor. Like, I feel like your clients know that you are there for them. They reached out to you. They asked for advice. If, even if it was 5 years ago and you have a question or you need advice about something, you can reach out to, the agent that you used to buy your home, and they can, maybe they won't have an answer right away, but they can at least assist you, or they might know somebody in the business, or they've referred somebody before. So it's important to know that you can reach out to your real estate agent.
So we hope in the wake of Helene and Milton, you find yourself safe. And if we can be of any resource to you or loved ones, please feel free to reach out. Unfortunately, this probably won't be the last time we experience something like this, living in Florida. But we still do feel privileged to live in such paradise, and hope you do as well. And again, just hope you're safe, and we're here if you need us.
Bye. Bye.